Two fake cops walk into a Boston museum at 1:24 a.m. By sunrise, $500 million in art is gone. No alarms. No gunfire. Just empty frames and silence worth $500 million. 13 masterpieces disappeared that night, and 35 years later, not one has ever been found. This is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, the greatest unsolved art theft in history. It was Boston, Massachusetts, March 18, 1990. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, a landmark filled with priceless European art, stood silent in the Fenway neighborhood. That night, temperatures dropped to around 39 degrees Fahrenheit, and the city was still quiet after St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Inside, the museum's motion detectors and alarms were active. But remember, this was 1990, long before digital surveillance or real-time video feeds. Back then, security meant people, not technology. And that raises a question worth thinking about. How safe is any system when it depends entirely on the person watching the door? That question would be answered before sunrise. Just after midnight, 23-year-old Rick Abath began his overnight shift. His partner, Randy Heston, was stationed upstairs. At 12:27 a.m., motion sensors recorded a side door briefly opening. A small, unexplained event that still puzzles investigators today. There's no confirmed reason why it happened. Abath later told authorities he might have been checking the exit, but that explanation has never been verified. About an hour later, two men dressed as Boston police officers arrived, claiming they were responding to a disturbance call. Museum policy was clear: no one enters after hours. But the guards made a split-second decision to let them in. And here's something to think about. If two police officers showed up at your door in the middle of the night, would you question it? That single decision opened the door to the most expensive art heist in history. The two men dressed as Boston police officers were buzzed inside the museum. They told the guard, "We're responding to a disturbance call." Rick Abath approached them. One of the men said he looked familiar and ordered him to step away from the desk. Moments later, Abath was told he was under arrest. His hands were cuffed, then taped. Randy Heston was called downstairs and met the same fate. Both guards were taken to the basement, their eyes and mouths taped, then secured to pipes. Investigators later confirmed that the thieves spent 81 minutes inside the museum. That's unusually long, but outside, no one noticed a thing. Motion sensors traced their path. Their first stop, the Dutch Room. There, they cut The Storm on the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt straight out of its frame. They also took A Lady and Gentleman in Black, another Rembrandt, and a Vermeer, The Concert. Next, they moved to the short gallery, removing 5 Degas sketches. In the Blue Room, they took a Manet, Chez Tortoni, the only piece stolen from the museum's first floor. They even removed a finial from a flagpole shaped like an eagle. A strange detail that still puzzles investigators to this day. Each piece was cut directly from its frame, not carefully unmounted. The frames were left behind, hanging empty, silent witnesses to what had happened. And here's the part that still shocks experts. Some of the museum's most valuable works, including pieces by Titian and Michelangelo, were completely ignored. Whatever their plan was, it wasn't random. It was targeted, precise, deliberate. At 2:45 a.m., the thieves made 2 trips to their car parked near the side entrance. By 2:50 a.m., they were gone. 13 works of art, valued at over $500 million, vanished into the night. And for the next 7 hours, no one knew the museum had just been robbed. Morning came quietly over Boston. It wasn't until 8:15 a.m. that the next shift of guards arrived, and something felt wrong. No one answered the intercom. The side door was locked from the inside. When police finally gained entry, they discovered both guards, Rickabath and Randy Heston, handcuffed in the basement, duct tape wrapped around their eyes and heads. Upstairs, the scene was chaos. Empty frames hung where masterpieces once were. Vermeer's The Concert gone. Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee gone. A total of 13 works vanished, worth over $500 million. Investigators were stunned. No alarms had triggered a police response. No fingerprints. No footage. No witnesses. The thieves had spent 81 minutes inside the museum, and somehow not a single person saw them leave. The media called it a heist pulled off with surgical precision. But to the museum staff, it wasn't just a crime, it was heartbreak. Centuries of art, culture, and human history gone in one night. And one haunting question remained. How could something this massive happen right under everyone's eyes, and still, to this day, remain unsolved? When the FBI took over the case, they faced a puzzle that refused to fit together. No fingerprints. No video footage. No ransom note. The only solid details came from the guards, and even those raised doubts. Rickabath told investigators he believed the men were real police officers, but he had broken museum protocol by letting them in without supervisor approval. That decision, captured by the museum's motion sensors, became the most debated moment in the entire case. Within days, agents began chasing leads through Boston's criminal underworld. Some believed it was a mob operation designed to barter the paintings for reduced prison sentences. Others suspected an inside job, pointing out how the thieves seemed to know exactly what to take and what to ignore. The stolen pieces weren't random. They bypassed works worth millions more and targeted specific art as if following a list. Investigators questioned former guards, art dealers, and figures tied to Irish and Italian organized crime. But every lead ended the same way, in silence. For years, the FBI pursued rumors stretching from Boston to Europe. They offered multi-million-dollar rewards, reopened evidence files, and even released aged sketches of potential suspects. Yet not a single one of the 13 stolen artworks has ever been found. More than 3 decades later, what remains isn't just loss, it's frustration. Because whoever walked out of the Gardner Museum that night didn't just steal paintings, they stole the answers the world is still waiting for. Legacy and current status. Today, inside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, the empty frames still hang exactly where the paintings once were. They're not decorations, they're reminders. Each one marks the place of a masterpiece that vanished more than 30 years ago. The museum keeps them there as a promise that one day the stolen art will return. The FBI still lists the Gardner case as one of the largest unsolved art thefts in history, with a $10 million reward for information leading to recovery. Over the years, suspects have died, tips have faded, and evidence has aged, but the mystery has never died. For the people of Boston, the Gardner heist isn't just a crime. It's a part of the city's memory. It changed how museums think about security, how investigators pursue stolen art, and how the public understands trust itself. And maybe that's the hardest part, because time has moved on, but the frames, the walls, and the silence still wait. Somewhere, someone knows the truth. And until that truth is spoken, the Gardner Museum remains a place where history and loss share the same space. Closing reflection and awareness message. Every story like this reminds us that security isn't just about walls or alarms. It's about people, choices, and moments that can't be undone. One open door. One assumption. One act of trust. That's all it took to change history. The Gardner heist isn't just a mystery about missing art. It's a reminder of how fragile certainty can be and how silence can last for decades when no one steps forward. For investigators, the search continues. For the museum, the wait continues. And for all of us, there's a quiet truth. The truth itself never fades. It only hides until someone is ready to tell it. But beyond all the mystery lies a simple lesson. We should never take what does not belong to us. Because when we do, we don't just steal objects. We steal memories, meaning, and the trust that holds communities together. If you've watched till this point, share your thoughts below. Do you believe the Gardner paintings will ever be found? Because sometimes, all it takes to end decades of silence is one voice that finally speaks.